Well, good evening, fellow nerds. What a fascinating update we have for you tonight to try and work out the mystery that is what the heck is happening this weekend. And we are in for a journey. So let's hop straight into it. I hope you're all well and you've had great days. Don't forget you can pop your comments in the comment area, which I've already tagged for you now. Please ask your questions, give me feedback, let me know how the stream is going. That's always good to hear what's going on that way, because don't forget I am lagged, as I keep explaining to you, so like I'm a bit ahead of you, so giving me the heads up as quick as you can, that will be fantastic. Otherwise, let's get going. Well, this is the big one. Alright, so we need to get out of here first. Of course, it's not going to let me do that now. Okay. Thank you. Goodbye. Alright, let's go. Chrome. And here we go. So, obviously, we've got the potential for some of the system on the weekend. So, let's have a look at what's going on in general terms. So, we've got, this is the jet stream as shown by Access, and this is just over the next couple of days. And what I want to show you is just this very strong subtropical jet stream actually feeding down into this very cold area, which is the interesting thing, is that there's no appearance of the polar jet stream at this stage, which is the good sign, which is we don't want to see that until we get this cold air mass gets over to near us, because that's a classic structure for an ECL. This is where it gets weird. So we see the jet stream, and that's what's driving that the mare's tails, or the dead carcasses of the storms across us, and also it's also driving that northwest cloud band and helping to drag tropical moisture from way out in the Indian Ocean across Australia, breaking droughts in many areas and actually giving them much needed rainfall that we missed out on. Moving into Saturday, I'm only going to focus on this quickly. This is where it gets interesting. We can see here, this is a southerly jet that is very much attached and associated with east coast lows, and very much needed, because it needs the upper processes to actually basically drag out the drier air away and keep the surface churning along like the engine. And we can see that the subtropical jet here on Saturday is actually breaking up as it comes across us, which is why our chance of really getting much rain from the cloud band basically disappears. And this was when this southern-based system actually kicks into gear. Going into Sunday, and those horrid streamlines keep appearing even though I'm turning them off 50 times. We can see that the wrapping up now from the southerly jet into Sunday night. This is where it gets interesting. It's basically gone. It's breaking up, now going across Queensland, which will help actually keep any activity over us. We get this as the departing air sort of area. And that southerly area is not that strong wrapping into it. And then you can see the next system over here, which is that one I've been telling you about towards the end of next week. Wow, massive, 140 knot jet stream from the south that will be pumping up extremely cold air right into WA. So this is the jet stream here. So what we're going to do now is we'll look at temperatures, because one of the other key things that we need to see for the development of an east coast low is a upper ridge to develop about 24 to 36 hours beforehand. So we want to see that. So we'll go to temperatures now. So that's winds. Now I'll look at temperatures. And so here we can see this is the massive cold air, which is going to obviously result in it's being sheared off the polar vortex. It's going to be dragged up across us. It's going to get cut off according to Axis anyway. And this is what will drive the beast that's going to be, well, if it's going to be an east coast low or a Tasman low, we'll get to soon find out. And you can actually see this upper ridge nicely laying across. And if we go into Saturday, we can start to see that upper trough and that system really starting to push through. If I can get the pressure lines on there, that will be interesting to see. If I can work out which one that is while we talk about this. We don't want preset, we just want surface. Anyway, work it out. Let's see what that does. No, I thought that would get rid of it. let's go back to temperature. Yeah, so this is the upper trough starting to move through, and then of course by Sunday lunchtime afternoon, which is when things start to happen, you can see massive cold air. Now this is at 300, and then into Monday, you can see that really pushing across us. It's going to be very cold in the upper airs above us. You can see the temperatures there getting down to minus 52, which is quite a fair way above it, but this is what will drive it. All right, let's go down to the surface now. We can see the surface temperatures. Not so much interesting. We wanted to see the... Actually, let's go to the... Yeah, we'll keep there. Have a look at the surface temperatures. Quickly before we turn into the models, we can see Saturday, we can see that cold air making its surface known, and you can see Sunday really pushing in. And I've seen some reports about saying there's going to be snow up, along the Great Dividing Range. Not so sure about that, and we'll have a look at that as part of this as well. I think that's definitely the snow is. Should see some snow and decent snow, just depending on exactly how that moisture wraps around with this potential low or east coast low, and depending exactly what we get, what iteration we get. I don't very much doubt that the Blue Mountains, the Barringtons will see any snow. You may see some up here in the Great Northern Tablelands, but you can see still then the temperature's just way too warm, 7 to 8 degrees. Yeah, very low chance. All right, let's cut to the chase. Let's get out of this. We'll quickly look at the satellite picture, and we'll go there now. We'll have a quick look, see what's going on. We'll go to the water vapor. And this is the important one. We won't go to the whole of Australia. We don't care about the north cloud band. This is what we want to see here. And this is the current system over the Southern Ocean and the Great Australian Bight. You can see the lightning, which is always a good sign at the leading edge. Anything shows that there's quite strong instability and there's forcing. This is a beautiful deep Southern Ocean low, and we can see the cold air wrapping up behind it. This is the water vapor image, of course. So the darker areas are very dry. There's orange areas, extremely dry air, which is quite classic. You can see that dry air has been dragged down from way over Australia into the low, and these darker areas, obviously the greeners and the blues and that sort of stuff, are actually moisture. You can see the rain here pushing through from Victoria and through now into Western New South Wales. All right, without further ado, let's hop over to the models. All right, so we're going to start out with we'll have a look at access first, and I'll zoom out a bit. So the news is we are in for a ride because it is two models versus two models. Access and Icon, as I'll show you, are still very strongly going for East Coast low. In fact, Access is pretty upgraded again. I thought it was upgraded overnight. It's actually upgraded again today, and I was doing a whole heap of research before I talked to you tonight just to make sure that what other people are saying, and the Bureau are also not confident about this weekend, only because their model is saying something that's quite obviously aggressive and strong, which is unusual for their model because it's extremely conservative, as we know, and I've pointed out many times in the past. And the usual ever reliable EC is off with the fairies. Now, whether it turns out to be correct, I guess we'll see this time Monday when everything starts to clear. But let's start with the more interesting scenario, which is the access scenario, because this is absolute beauty. So I'll start it in a zoomed mode, and then we'll zoom in and zoomed out mode, and we'll zoom in, and I'll show you exactly how it works, and it's going to affect us. And it is a beauty. Wait till you see it. So this is Friday. Tomorrow we can see just a cloud band. We can see the winds picking up ahead of that. Not unusual, being sucked down into that very cold air to the south. And then we can see early Saturday as that change associated with that cloud band wrapping up like typical cold change. You can see that bulge, and you can see it always moves up the coast quicker than over the water than it does up the land, which is not unusual. And we can see that already there's been sort of the pre-warning sort of southerlies off the coast overnight Saturday. And then by about Saturday morning, we can see really quite strong southerlies, southeasterlies really pushing through. This is the trough associated with the change has gone, well, the cloud band's gone way out here. This is the cold front and the trough and the colder air above, which doesn't arrive till Sunday. So this is the thing. So don't expect to see too much happening on Saturday. But we can see here already there's a little kink in the isobars, and that's Saturday at lunchtime. But kicking ahead, we can see the troughs push through. So this is a trough right here, just not going very far. And we can see the winds over here starting to kick around to the south, and that's the critical thing here, because we look on Friday, we see the southwesterlies, it's the drier air, all that sort of stuff, quite typical for a front. And then Friday night you'll see very light winds, not a real lot happening, not much at all. But then Saturday, we see quite a dramatic change, which is this real gusty southerlies right up into northern New South Wales and central New South Wales, and that's indicative of that colder air starting to have that extraction fan effect that I've told you about before, and starting to suck air up into it. And this is the surface response out here, obviously, with the change. When we push into Saturday night, we can see even then there's still like a little low. It's not a low itself, it's more the trough, but you can see just how quite strong the delineation is between the activity to the south and activity to the north. It's very, very strong. And you can see this wind here over the inland New South Wales really starting to pick up, which is what piqued my interest. Then we get into Saturday night, and we first see this is a low starting to form. That is not a trough anymore, because you've got starting to get a circulation going. The winds are starting to get just discreetly around the low itself. It's not a broad area like you see, but this trough, you can see the winds pinging into us. So it's going to be quite gusty showers from Saturday lunchtime right through, driving into the coast. Going into Sunday morning, this is where we can start to see things get interesting. So there's a low starting to develop here now. It's still quite disorganised and sloppy and loose, as you can see. The pressures are still not that deep, but you can see that surge of surface air from the south associated with the colder air. And these winds here starting to hook around now, and you can see that's the upper sort of type system starting to have its effect. You can see here, just hooking around. And as we go through Sunday, you'll watch it'll slip off to the north coast and then start to link up with stuff over the air. And then we're starting to see quite a strong low. You can see pressure's already dropped 3 hectopascals already just in a couple of hours off the coast. Now, this is a Tasman low, potentially an East Coast low. It's a very complex situation. And this is where all 4 models actually agree. They agree with something developing off the coast during Saturday night into Sunday. What they do with it is where it gets, obviously, where they diverge. And I'm just trying to find on the charts myself exactly what they're picking up on. I don't know. I don't know what EC is. It's timing, or it doesn't pick up the cold pool as strong. I don't know. Anyway, so let's go into Sunday night now. That low is fairly starting to fairly whack up now. We can see still quite elongated and very sloppy. It's not that not that aggressive. It's going to be still quite gusty, windy. You can see like winds of these are winds. They're not temperatures. So like 30 knots right up and down the coast. It's going to be gusty showers Sunday. It's going to be quite cloudy, showery, and then we see this. This is where it starts to get quite fascinating. So looking here, the pressure's already dropped. It's 1,010. It's only Sunday afternoon, so we've got almost 60 knots on the southern side at least, and then the other sides are starting to wrap in. You can see it's starting to get quite tight. It's still quite loose on the northern side, which is not unusual. And you can see these winds here really starting to pick up inland. And then we pop into Sunday night when things start to get interesting. And I don't want to skip too much ahead here because I'm going to ruin the surprise. So let's just watch the system itself. I'm going to push play and we'll just commentate as it goes. So I don't want to ruin it here. Then we start to see a nice little discrete cell start to form, and look at those winds wrapping around. We have a genuine East Coast low, and not just a genuine, a quite strong, nasty, aggressive East Coast low. And look at those pressures diving. We've gone from 1,010 to sub 1,000, and look at that, a 997 or 996 low going straight across Sydney. Not either side of us, literally straight across, and then hitting land, and then falling apart, which is quite usual because it's instability flow, and then these winds obviously way out to the sea. So what we're going to do now is we'll go back to Sunday night, and I'll zoom in and you can see this in all its glory. So Sunday lunchtime is definitely the key period. Let's have a look at this, because this is an absolute beauty. So we'll just go out a bit so we see a bit of it. So we've got Newcastle to basically the Illawarra here, so Hunter Illawarra, and shout out to our friends at Illawarra Storm Chasers and Hunter Weather. Hopefully you're listening. And here we go. So we're going to do Sunday lunchtime. So we can just watch this in all its glory. So you can see there on the right hand side of the screen, that's the low. The light blues are basically no air, and the dark purples are very strong winds. And you can see that compression on the southwestern side of the low as it comes towards the coast. And I'm going to pause it for as it comes towards us just here, because Sunday night is looking to be pretty much scary, especially for anywhere really east in the east. So there we go, stop here. 70 knots. 70 knots. That is about 130 k's an hour. We're already 40 knots along the coast, basically from Newcastle all the way down. And in fact, Wollongong has got 55 knots plus on the coast, and so has a lot of the coastal areas. So that's overnight. So this is a classic. Now, normally a classic ECL is that it sort of forms on the coast and then slides down along the coast. It doesn't normally sort of fall out here and then sling back towards it. So I think this is the difference between what EC is picking up and what Axis is doing. But Monday night, midnight, Monday night, classic East Coast low. Hurricane force winds right along the coast. Damaging winds up to destructive winds. And then as it approaches, look at those winds just really rip into 60 knots in the Illawarra, and probably be 60 knots across the CBD. Even in the west, 40 knots now. Slabs of the west, 40 knots. If you got us outside the westerlies from a coastal system is quite unrare in the west. You guys tend to get protected quite a bit, especially by the Blue Mountains. And look at that. So sometime early Monday morning, which will cause absolute chaos. You can imagine people heading to work, and I'm hoping that there's going to be sufficient warnings and stuff out. But the Bureau, I don't envy the Bureau on this occasion. 75, 73 knots, and that's up to 130 k's plus approaching Sydney. Aside from the winds, there is going to be a storm surge, a quite big storm surge along the coastal areas. When you consider this, look at the Illawarra, 60 knots straight onto them. I saw a comment by their site today, which I was disappointed about, saying nothing, not going to happen, no ECL, and I thought it was very brave of them to say that, considering that it was one model run at this stage. And now I'm not saying this is going to happen, because again, as I said, it's problematic. We wait till you see the other model resolutions. I don't know. But for the Bureau's conservative model to be saying this sort of stuff it's insane. Let's go into, and then we have a eye of a ECL 997 ECL, basically bearing straight down the Parramatta River. Monday morning, and the winds aren't letting up straight away either. We've still got 50 knots, 40 knots, 45 to 50 knots right across the whole of the basin now, right into Monday morning. And then, of course, by the time lunchtime comes around, it starts to unwind because it's losing its power, which is the temperature gradient between the surface and the sea and upper air. The land obviously is a bit cool. You can see the pressure's wound back quite a bit from sub-90s to 1005. Yeah, that is an insane scenario. We will look now quickly at the rainfall for you for that before we turn into the Icon and the other models. Let's just look at the accumulated, because looking at hour. So you can see here, way slabs of 150s, 170s, even what up into the Blue Mountains, 105 over 2 days, basically. Don't ignore that next 5 days, because it obviously takes from basically when this forecast was done by Axis, which was this morning's data. So you've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so you can take basically 3 days out of that already. So in 2 days, we're going to get 150 to 200 millimetres right from basically the central, southern Hunter, mid-central coast, right down through to the Illawarra. On Axis, this is Axis, don't forget, this is only Axis, so, but, interesting times. I don't think I've ever seen such a disparate slab of models, to be honest, in the time I've been looking at stuff. Normally, though, we have some sort of consensus by now, and even with that last trophy sort of system that never sort of turned into East Coast low, we had reasonable consensus as to what was going to happen. You know, some of the things varied here, there, and everywhere, but generally speaking, there was a broad pattern that we could all understand. Anyway, let's have a look at we'll have a look at Icon now, and we'll see what we'll show you it. So we'll start with the rainfall first, because that's where we are. You can see Icon, don't forget, it's max is 5 days, so 2 days, so I would ignore these rainfall figures. Yet still not really locked in for that, still a bit too far out, and this is from 9 o'clock this morning, so you're looking at basically 24 hours, and if you go on Axis's run, really the East Coast low doesn't really start pummeling us until Sunday lunchtime anyway, Sunday afternoon, so Icon's only got probably the 50 mils you see there is probably mostly Sunday lunchtime at the outer edge of this model. But then we'll go to wind gusts and we'll have a look at that. This Icon, again, very much matches Axis, but timing is an issue. Bit of a difference there. And they're very much similar. In fact, Axis is a bit higher resolution than Icon is, so you know, take of that what you will. So they will skip on that. Not much difference there. And this is where clearly you can see pattern the same. You know, low staying to form to our east-northeast, surges of southerlies. I mean, this is where it's consistent the same. The only thing that varies with Icon and Axis is timing, and you can see here it shifts a little bit further south than what Axis does, but I mean, you're still looking at, look, 70 knot winds, but you can see here the timing's a bit different too. Like by Sunday night, Icon plows the low winds or the East Coast low really into the, you know, very southern Illawarra down into the south coast. No other model has that, so I'm thinking, I'm not sure what Icon's picking up on there, but really when you look at the broad patterns, Icon and Axis pretty much line up as low starts out off the coast, drives towards the coast and intensifies. I mean, they've both got that same pattern, and this is where you start to look when things are so, you know, I'm not even looking for the word, discombobulated is probably the best way to think about when you've got 4 models, completely different scenarios, and we're starting to get into that 72-hour window. We really want to start to get some certainty. You start to step back and say, okay, take your rose-tinted glasses off, take off your hopes and dreams about everybody who loves an ECL, if you're a weather watcher, and the other people who don't want to come anywhere near us because they, you know, it's quite, you know, it's scary events, understand that. Take off those, put that aside, and look at it from an objective perspective. You look and think, okay, what are the patterns here? And when I look at the patterns for 2 of the models, very consistent. Off the coast, drives towards the coast, intensifies, plows into the coast. 2 of the models. All right, now we'll look at EC. Now we'll get to your questions in a minute. I really want to get through this first, so I'm not ignoring you, please. Well, actually, I guess I am, but I will get to them, so don't stress. Let's have a look at Saturday now. This is EC. So you see EC, this is the change. This is not a low. You can see it's a low area pressure, but that's because it's a trough. We can see obviously the northern side, which is quite typical. We can see the southern side, the southerlies racing up Saturday. And see Saturday at lunchtime, you can see those gusty winds pushing in across the coast, which is consistent from all the models. We can see Saturday night, you know, trough lies up here. Nothing really discrete yet, no circulation. And this is where things dramatically change. It says there's a bit of a low, but really there's no low there because you can see that sausage-looking sort of area there. That's still a trough, even though the winds at the surface say there's some sort of circulation. Maybe it's developing. You can see that they're over here maybe, but nothing the same as what you saw in Axis and Icon. And you can see here now Tasman low starting to form, and you can see it's sort of sloppy. It's a little bit similar to what Axis had. In that this is what Axis had, but it was obviously a bit further north, and I think maybe that's the huge difference is that where it develops, because you can see here EC develops that way to the south, and of course where it is way down south, now it's starting to really form, but it's a Tasman low, not an East Coast low, and it's now well past us, and so where we get basically is these really strong cold southerlies, but not even much rain with them because the way the winds you can see are parallel to the coast, which means you get the occasional fat cloud who might actually get itself caught on the coast as it drives up the ocean, but by and by it'll probably just be cold, dry air, you know, with the occasional shower, much like we had last time we had that change where it was, you know, in the east there was that sort of changey, sort of showery stuff, and then in the west basically it was clear but still cool, basically, you know, almost sunny skies. That's what EC's throwing up, and then it does start to shift. Now this is where it gets interesting because you see here, Dun does start to retrograde towards the west, towards the coast, just like Axis and Icon do, except location and timing just a little different. And this is where it gets interesting. This is where they could align. Like, if EC has its timing wrong a little bit, and because it's a bit further south, it gets captured a lot easier by the westerlies and stuff down the south, and it gets dragged away from us. As you can see, it's well south. I'm not going to just go down there because it's irrelevant for us. You put that situation up here, 200 or 300 kilometers north, and you've got exactly the same scenario as Axis. So this is what I'm saying before. You step back, you put your hopes and dreams aside, you look at the patterns generally, and you think, okay, they're very similar. It's just a matter of timing and location, exactly where the activity. If the activity spawns a bit further north, which is what two of the models are saying, then we're going to get an east coast low. It's going to come straight towards us. If it's a little bit further south, which is what EC is saying, and I'll show you what GFS is showing very shortly, then this is the scenario. Tasman low stays out there, gets captured by the southern systems because it doesn't get a chance to really develop on its own, because you've got the jet stream pushing from the north across it and basically pushing the system down towards the south, instead of cradling it, which is what the Axis and Icon is sort of more saying. Let's have a look now at GFS. Remembering that it's the worst out of everybody because it's basically half the resolution. But anyway, looking at Saturday again, patterns the same. If they're all four consistent are this start. It's just about what happens out here in the Tasman. So we'll skip ahead to Saturday night. We can see, it says a low, but that's more a trough. We can set to see similar place to access, and then of course we skip through to Saturday, and then very much aligned with what EC was saying, more a Tasman low. You can see that it's a little bit further south. We've got those gusty onshore winds, which will be showery, windy, but nothing near what we're seeing with that. Axis, GFS is a little bit different. You can see what automatically very similar to EC. When you got 2 and 2, like what the hell? Like, in fact, very similar to EC, except it doesn't actually retrograde towards. Well, it actually does now, but it's a lot further south, which means it's really going to affect, other than a few penguins, not much else. And you can see what this is up here. This is like basically the leftover flow of that low, so it's going to be just really nothing much. There is a kink in the isobars out here, which is interesting, and I think GFS is having an each-way bet, to be honest, because you see here, another kink in the isobars. There is a trough there of low pressure, and the surge of stuff, and we kick on the Monday afternoon, Monday evening, you can see it basically washes out because there's not a lot of support by then, and then we kick through and done, and we get all these dry westerlies, which is what they're all sort of running with. So let's have a look at the rainfall now for EC and GFS. You can imagine they're going to be a little bit different to what we saw with Axis, of course, and Icon, the start of it. Let's go. Well, we'll go rain accumulation. So this is GFS. Now this is where it gets fascinating, because GFS is still going for some pretty damn big falls, but it focuses it more up into the northern Senny Coast and into Hunter. Like, I don't understand what is causing that, because we just looked at there and there was nothing really other than that bend in the isobars of the coast, and maybe that's what it's saying. That's where, I think GFS is having an each-way bet, to be honest. But it's still maintaining quite wet conditions right through us, but not anywhere. Of course, not nowhere near what the Axis was showing. And we're going down to EC. We can see EC is still going for quite wet conditions for us. 50 to 70 mils, 80 mils across the basin. Basically, like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, maybe. It's nothing to sneeze at. A bit more of a peak up here. Which is not surprising given that it was very similar to GFS in that respect, and still quite wet conditions throughout. But as you can imagine, not the concentrated falls that Axis, and I would imagine that Icon's going to pick up on probably tomorrow morning or during the afternoon as it gets a little bit more closer, to picking up that Sunday, Monday period, which is what Axis is saying. So, all in all, what the heck is probably the best summation of that. And we'll have a quick look now at we don't need to look at that rain and thunder because I just showed you that. This is obviously what I was saying to you. This is the period from basically from Saturday through to Monday. So you can see there really big focus on the sunny coast, and that's going to make them upset again. And then we look at Axis, you can see really, see the different disparate pictures. And remember, our Axis showed us yesterday, it was quite different to this. So it's upgrading, which is, as you approach the 72-hour window, like that threshold, that's what you want to be seeing. You want to see this consistency, and it's been consistent in this picture. This little hook here, inland, is, I'm not sure that'll be the case. So don't get too despondent, those people live in that areas. We'll just see. It really depends upon that wraparound and exactly where that low goes. But you've got coastal areas, for anywhere from 175 to 250 mils, and 260 is at max here, which is probably that area up there again in the inland from the sunny coast. So, anywhere from basically mid-central coast, northern central coast or southern Hunter right through down the south coast, you can see 150, 200, 250 mils in 2 or 3 days. Hence, nasty. But then go over to EC, chill, bit more up in the upper Hunter, but some decent falls, no doubt about that. A good wet start to winter, which is one of our wettest months. And we're starting to, obviously June's when we start to see the rainfall taper off, and go into July and August, which are obviously drier. We get those westerlies start coming through all those and drying things out if they arrive. I don't think they will this year. And then AFS, which is it's the AI version of EC, so you can see it's a bit different again. It's sort of focusing stuff up to the Hunter, which is, nothing else has had that, so that's weird. It's off on its own, but still decent falls. And we go to the model, which is OCF. Now, OCF is it's a model that basically grabs everything and chucks it into the bucket and gives you I wish there was a description on how I could show you. It basically just grabs everything in and gives you an average forecast of all the models over a period of time put together, and it says, right, you can still see that Sydney is, when you average all the models out, which is why I think that it was very dangerous of pages to say, no ECL now on one model run, because when you look at this, as you can see from OCF, where is the most greatest? It's basically the Central Coast and Sydney still, really from 125 mils up into 70 mils across that period of time, which is just the weekend. It's still saying that that's where this is where the greatest focus of precipitation is going to be. How can you say definitely not happening, which is what I'm concerned about. And then again, this is Icon now. This is really scraping at the very edge of it. You can see how still, 30 mils sort of Sunday-ish, and through to in 50 to 60 to 70 off the coasts, along the coast at the very edge of Icon. It's hopefully the morning run will give us really some great certainty, because at this stage it is absolutely frustrating for everybody, and frustrating for me trying to forecast this crap on the basis. I'm just going to free up some bandwidth there for us all. Clears it up for us all. And I'm going to feel very dirty in saying this, and please remind me in future when I do bag Access out, which deserves that on most occasions, and I'm going to have a hot shower after this, or go and take some of those antiseptics or wipes, that sort of stuff. But oh my goodness, Access being the most consistent. There, I've said it. Oh my God, I've said it. I will go and say some Hail Marys later and get some penance from some of the model gods, but when I'm saying that Axis is the most consistent, that's a worry. But in saying that, I have to give it its kudos, and I think that's why the Bureau they're not saying a lot at this stage. I watched their severe weather update just released only this afternoon, and they basically ignored us. They talked about inland, and they basically said Saturday, so they're watching that very closely at this stage. No commentary whatsoever, which I think they've been told pretty clearly by their forecast and severe weather experts, just to sort of hang on and see what the overnight runs do, because they're obviously a bit concerned about Access upgrading when you've got EC and GFS sort of sloppy all over the place. But as I said, if you step back and look at the broader picture, they all really got the similar thing. Cold front, low develops somewhere, moves towards the west. It's just about location, and timing. I think that's probably the best thing I can say. At this stage, what does my gut feel? Hell, my gut feels hungry, I can tell you that. I will say my gut feels, when I look at the last 6 runs, and you average them out, and oh my god, I can't believe I'm going to say this again. Axis is the most stable, the one who's had consistently been with this scenario. It's upgraded. It has not in any way, weakened or shoved it south. It's basically had that similar scenario hovering around us in the Central Coast now for 4 or 5 runs, I think. We've been watching it. You have to say my gut feel at this stage is towards Axis. Hard to say if that's confirmation bias or not. Probably is a bit of confirmation bias there, because we all love to see one of these things because they're such a rare beast, and the mechanics that get these things to form, as I said to you in those videos, and hopefully you watched it and you looked at the information I've given you about, but it takes a lot of ingredients to get an East Coast low, which is why I get excited about it. I don't get excited about the potential grief that it causes people, absolutely not, but from a pure nerd's perspective, absolutely exciting, because it is just a rare phenomena. It's almost like it's the same as Sydney getting hit by a tropical cyclone during summer. That's just the rareness of them. We always say ECL season, but we can all count on one hand how many proper ECLs we've had in probably the last 10 years, and it's not many. From a purely scientific nerd perspective, absolutely want Axis to happen. From a love you all, want the best of the community perspective, obviously I don't want Axis to happen, because I don't want the resultant chaos that will be inflicted upon us. So I'm flummoxed and I'm juxtapositioned. I understand that, but hey, can't deny the inner nerd. All right, I'm going to turn to your questions now quickly before I stop rambling on. So let's go. I'm going to try and grab up. I know you can see there's heaps of questions, so please bear with me, and I'll tick a like on your question as I'm answering it so you can see. Hey Randall, great to have you on board. Sorry it's going to get wet up your way again. It is what it is. And right, we got now. So Shelley, good to see you. John on board. Ash is here. G'day Asher. Oh my god, I'm trying to keep up with the comments, sorry. Let's go. Is this East Coast load going to bring heavy rain to South Coast? Looks more Gippsland Sharon, it's 50-50. Like, if it goes where it is, the Axis version, no. If it goes to EC GFS version, you'll get a bit more rain down the South Coast for sure, just because you're closer to the low. Let's go. Hopefully we can pick you all up as we go. Southern Highlands, Lee, it will depend upon exactly where the ECL is. But yeah, if it goes where Axis says, possibly. If it goes with us, no. Get away. Cam going to get smashed. Glenn, if Axis comes out, Camden will definitely see its fair share of decent weather. If GFS and EC, nope. We won't get much at all. Just see some gusty showers, mainly on the coasts. Hopefully I can get you all. Let's go. Jervis Bay, Bowen. Yeah, Jervis Bay is going to get some heavy rain, regardless whether the Axis scenario comes off or not, as you saw, because it is an exposed coast, and especially with those southerlies the way it is, they just tends to pick up those southerlies lovely down there, nice and cold. Yeah, Zane, Sydney could absolutely get slaughtered if it does come across the way Axis is. Is this going to hit the Hunter Valley? Unlikely at this stage. More probably just gusty onshore flowers, I think. Onshore showers for the Hunter. At that stage, yeah. EJ, yep, it's definitely got a pin. Don't ever put your hopes and dreams aside. Mark, same as you. It's a weathergeddon. Love that, Karen. I'll have to try and use that. I'll use that. Situation for Wollongong on Saturday, late morning lunch. Tina, I would just say gusty showers, pretty not much else, just a normal typical cold change. As I said, nothing starts winding up until Sunday-ish anyway, so no stress there. These East Coast lows, hybrid systems, I feel will way a bit more often than in the past. Who the hell knows? Kerry, you are pretty right. I don't know, without, it's easy to say with the modern satellites, but don't forget they've been around decently since the 70s, and then it's still pretty dodgy, so we don't have a lot of history. We only have historical records, and we do equate what observations are to certain systems. At sometimes we have some, weather maps, but without true satellite pictures, it's guesswork. And reconstruction is reconstruction. It's not actual. It's guesswork. Let's put it that way. That's my personal opinion. And they can say as much as they want. I've got these algorithms. We got this. We got that. But it's still their best guess, without actually seeing it. Actually, without any filters applied to it, without any man-made algorithm or homogeneity or tweaking this or tweaking that, it is guesswork, and it's down then to the individual bias or perception of the person who's designing that model or making those tweaks, and I will live to that to this day. Harry, is it really the end of the world as we know it? No. Let's go maybe a small tactical nuke right on top of the... yeah, possibly. The heat would actually pretty evaporate out of the cloud, but you might have a lot of other after effects that would pretty be worse than an East Coast low, so we can just skip on from that. Saturday, 6 a.m, 9 a.m rain or no rain Newcastle M. I didn't look at it, sorry. I imagine there's going to be some gas to showers, but probably not. I think most of the look of the showers that arrive with the southerly, especially in Newcastle because you're further north, pretty late Saturday afternoon. You might get a shower or two from this rain band, but I don't think so. Definitely an interesting weekend, Leanne. 100% with there. Thanks so much, Mark, for your support. Hopefully the sound's been a lot better this time and it's not been so laggy for you all. And please leave comments in the chat of what your quality's been like. I really need to know that so I can gather. I've tweaked a few things. I found now there's a bit of a setting on Google which I can actually isolate my voice, and I've done this, I've done that, so hopefully it's been a lot better. I've ditched the OBS system, which is what I'm using. It was actually great for streaming, but without a modern thousands of dollars computer, it does tend to be very processor hungry, which is what was causing the lag last time, and I do apologize for that. So the poor old computer has to take into account all the screen, process it and spit it out for you at the same time, which is like, nah, it was getting up the ghost. Weather porn, man, it's not a bad description, I guess. Welcome, Stephen, thank you for joining us, great to see you all here. Core, what situation will be around long Saturday late lunch? I've just said that, it's just some showers, it won't be much. As I said, you won't see a lot of this to Sunday-ish, so don't get too excited about Saturday. Is an ECL like a hurricane? Rachel, good question. Actually, in more ways, yes, because normally cold systems are very not like hurricanes, because hurricanes, as explained before, are warm core systems, and so their greatest winds tend to be around their eye or their low-level circulation center, which is basically where the air's being sucked up, and which is what drives the system. Whereas cold core systems, the winds tend to be strongest away from the center because of the pressure gradients and interacting with the pressure gradients. And actually around the center of cold core systems is actually normally quite calm and not that bad of weather. But with ECLs, it actually is, because it's the temperature gradient between the very cold air upstairs and the warmer surface of the sea, which is what creates the cyclogenesis, or the conditions that causes the low to form. So yes, it actually is a lot more like a hurricane than your typical Tasman low. And as you saw, if you were looking at the images before, you saw how it's like circular the winds were around those Tasman lows and how far away sort of from the center they were. That's a classic cold core low. Whereas you see the ECL, you see how very close to the center, and that little spinny like pinprick of an eye you saw, that's very much like a warm core low, which is quite interesting. You flight out of Newcastle Saturday morning will be fine, and you should be good with that. Cat's coming through down clear. Yeah, Storm Cat, he loves you guys. Every time I'm on, he always has to come on and have a meow in the background because he wants to meet you guys. What a pain in the backside he is. And he's big, fat and fluffy right now because he hasn't been shaved because it's winter and it's going to get cold, so he's being very annoying. G'day Lachlan, sorry you got stuck in your meeting, but great to have you join anyway. Got any questions, please ask, I'll still answer them for you. Hawkesbury flooding, and look, I am not going to say yes or no either way. If Axis comes off with that level of rainfall in one time, there could be some riverine flooding, but it really depends where it falls. If it's the north of the system, which is sort of what's showing, you'll be fine. If it's a bit more across the southern catchment or the BMs, then you might get a bit of a stream rise again. I don't think it's going to be as significant, but I'm not going to speculate. We have had some dry weather recently, but there's been not much wind, so the evaporation, I imagine, hasn't been very significant. So there's pretty still a lot of water lying around. So that does contribute to the amount of water that runs off. Sorry, I'm just having a bit of a drink there because my mouth's a bit dry because I've been yabbering on so much. Alright, hopefully the sound's been so much better. Thank you so much, Joe. I'm glad it's working. We've got Rachel's question. We got Core's question. Welcome, Core, too. I forgot to say hello to you. Sorry. waiting for the Earth's gravity to do a full flip over. Yeah, let's hope that happens. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Talking about that, the aurora is looking very interesting, and the good thing about it is that it's not actually supposed to peak till about the 6th of June this time, and the sunspot. So we actually, looking at the weather from the 6th of June, we actually might have a few days of clear, cloudless skies with very dry air above us if the ECL does happen, because they tend to really pump out the environment. So that would actually be great to see an aurora over us. So let's all fingers crossed that's going to happen. Right, let's get there. So I've got Annette's question. Let's go to Rachel Van Zales. Welcome, Rachel, and thank you so much for being a top fan. I can see your badge on there, and it's much appreciated. And also for following too. And if you're also on the stream, please don't forget to like and follow our page, because that way you get the notifications ASAP. It really helps support me, because I'm looking to build the page, obviously, to suck the bank account of Mark Zuck and his cretins at Meta, so we can actually pay for some better stuff for you guys and some streaming stuff. And also, rather than having to hit people up for donations, I don't like doing that. I've always been here for you guys. And I know Mark has said start a Patreon. I'm looking into that. There's obviously some taxation stuff I've got to look into about exactly how that works, Mark, which is why I've been slow in progressing that sort of stuff. But it is happening behind the scenes. Can we see a similar situation to Pasha? Actually, that's a very good question. And if Axis comes off, absolutely, possibly could. Absolutely, with 75 knot winds in a concentrated area, absolutely. Not Pasha, it is in Newcastle way, but definitely something in the Sydney way. I guess the difference with Sydney to Newcastle is that, we don't have that coastline hooking around like you guys, like Port Stephens, that area there, which does tend to obviously catch and sort of the currents and that sort of stuff, the sea and drag stuff along, whereas we're still a very north-south coast orientation, so it has to be very much dragging onto the coast, and then we've got a deep sea harbour where they can all sort of escape from, whereas, the Newcastle one is obviously not as deep, and a lot of your stuff does tend to hang off the coast waiting to be processed. Well, we don't have those ships sitting off the coast here, as you notice. All ours come in. So I don't think we'll get a Pasha repeat here. If it was north, back up that way, hell yeah. Yeah, definitely with the level of wind and how tight those gradients are, definitely. G'day, Karen. Good to see you on board. Thank you so much for that feedback. Now, I'm going to see if there's any other questions I've missed. It's been so good to have so many people on tonight. And it's really appreciated, because obviously it takes me a bit of time to do this for you guys, and to have people participate, it's awesome. I'm going to close a few of these things for you guys, so it's not so late. Keep it with the laggy away. Keep that nice picture of the Sydney Axis rainfall up there. Actually, we'll go back also to that. We'll go back to the wind for Axis too. That's a good background picture. I think giving a good expectation of what Monday could look like when we've got a tropical low, almost like a tropical low coming on. I mean, look at that. That's very, even though it's banding there, it looks like a hurricane. You got that almost an eye wall effect. I mean, putting my nerd hat on, this would be incredibly insane if this comes across. First of all, because it almost comes literally across my place, but I'm just wondering if we even would have what's called the eye wall effect, which is where you get basically, the eye is dead clear, and you've got the clouds that go straight up into the atmosphere because of the way they're banding about this thing. That will be it will be freaking insane. That would actually be better than an aurora, to be honest. To see that sort of effect is one of the rarest things you can see in the tropical environment. For a start, the eye wall effect, to stand there and look up into this dead center of a decent strong storm like this and see, basically clear skies, and have that stadium effect where the clouds just look ginormous because they just 10, 12, 13k straight up. Yeah, that would be worth it. Alright, let's see me rabbiting on. Thank you so much, Lachlan, for that. I appreciate it. I do it for you guys, so the more people we get to hop on and actually participate is the better. Awesome, to be honest. And we've had some good viewers tonight too, good levels of viewers, so I really appreciate it. It's great. Hopefully we can start getting up into, more hundreds and thousands. Hopefully people start getting on board and watching this stuff, because then I can send my invoice to Mr. Zuckerberg. Let's go. Monica, g'day Monica. thank you for A, being a top fan, and B, also for all that space weather stuff you send me, and you've educated me so much in that, and I really appreciate that. And I'm really enjoying learning about space weather because I had zero understanding of it. So it's been fascinating to get to learn about X-class fares and M-class fares and all that sort of gobbledygook that goes with it. And I'm still not there, but I'm enjoying that, expanding my brain, so I appreciate that. Better than the Aurora. I know you. I thought you'd pick up on that. So that Monica about the Aurora, knowing how much you love to see an Aurora. Thank you so much, Phil. Appreciate that, and it's great to have you on board. Thank you also for participating and also watching the video tonight. It's great to have you all here. Alrighty, well, I think I'm going to stop waffling into your ears. The short summary is 2 for ECL, 2 for Tasman Low, although the general patterns do say that it's not inconsistent that something could happen. Well, I wish I could give you more concrete stuff. I'm really hoping that we'll have some definite certainty in the morning, because we all need certainty because people have to plan their weekends. If there is some certainty in the morning, what I will do is I will try and quickly record a video update for you before I have to go off and earn the coin to pay for this stuff. So just so people have got something they can listen to and watch as opposed to writing as well. I will try, because when I wake up, the models will be available. I'm going to be finding it very hard to sleep. If Access looks like this tomorrow, then I think we can lock ourselves in. If Access looks like this tomorrow and is exactly the same as it is, and it has been consistent like this, I will proclaim an East Coast low tomorrow, and I will wear the fallout if it does not come, because I think it's only fair that A, we give some certainty, but B, Access gets some credibility and some recognition for being consistent, as opposed to the usual Mr. Consistency, wishy-washy EC this time around. I'll just quickly check comments before I go. G'day Thomas, welcome. Thank you also for being a top fan. I can see your badge there. G'day Alyssa, welcome. Thank you so much. And Asha, definitely I will be doing updates across the weekend. And I tell you, if Access looks like this, I will do them regularly for you, and I will keep you updated. The only problem is the 18Z and 6Z models, which are the ones that are released during the day, or which we get to trash normally. So I'll do the best I can, but definitely you'll have updates across, and I'll keep you updated. And if Sunday is looking to be what it's going to be, I will be on here with you at all times, so you'll be able to tune in at any stage, and I will keep you company, and we'll get through this together, and I'll keep you up to date with what I can see from real-time observations, because models have become useless then. We're now looking at radar, pinpointing where lows are, and we'll hopefully get enough people joining us to make to really grow this page, and get the word out there and get people the information and help they're going to need if this does come across, because it's going to be quite chaotic. And again, I would love those people who feed me the SES stuff last time. If it's looking like it's going to be like that Saturday, definitely feed me the SES data as it starts flowing in, and we'll definitely read that real time, because there's going to be storm surge, and there's going to be local flooding, and there's going to be quite a lot of damage if these destructive winds come to pass as forecast by Access. And I think we'll start to see some warning products start to roll out from the Bureau pretty tomorrow afternoon, I'd say, if Access is still looking the same. Thanks, Paul. Thank you so much also for being a follower, and thank you. I see today you've hit a milestone, which is great, so congratulations on that. Thank you so much, Ryan, and thank you also for being a follower. Appreciate that. It's people like you that actually keep us going. And Bear, good to see you back, Bear. I haven't seen you for a while, but it's your anniversary, so it's your second anniversary, I think, Bear Mayo. So thank you so much. And also, you're one of our massive sharers. I know you're always forwarding my stuff onto your friends and family, which is also another way. Anybody on here now still hanging on, please. It's another way that supports the page is by sharing, because the way these Zucker and his meta people work is not only by clicks and likes and comments, it's also by sharing, and that's how they click the engagement, and that's how they work out the coin. So if you do share, that also helps the page out as well, and get new followers and get the message out to people and keep people informed, which is what we really want to do. Amanda, if it is an ECL, what are the temps do? That's a good question, actually. Days are still milder. They'll be sort of like late teens, but so mild, nights will be mild, but days will be quite cold. because obviously think about windy, and also then the showers will be dragging down this cold air from above. Yeah, it'll be quite savage in the day. The evenings will be a bit milder, obviously because the cloud cover and that sort of stuff. But yes, temperatures will be, forget deck, that's a cyclone. Yeah. Okay, Louise. And thank you, Louise, for being a top fan as well. Love seeing you pop up with your comments every now and then. And I know you don't like the cold season, but you're going to bear with it with us, and you can have your warm season again soon. Quickly, what I want to say too. Quickly, there was some. Before I do sign off, I want to actually say look at that rain. There was some speculation going on about snow. No chance. No chance with this type of system at all. Even though it will be cold, it's because the air is quite saturated, and the cold air that's needed for snow really is going to be washed out with the amount of moisture, and yeah, it won't be enough for snow. And in fact, if I look at the outlook, there's zero likelihood of any snow in the BMs or anywhere, even in the Barringtons at this stage, for the outlook period. So post low, this will happen. The unfortunate thing is it's going to be dry westerlies or northwesterlies. It's going to feel very much like August, I think, for a couple of days. Which is quite the par when you get these ECLs disappear. It's the way it is. But yeah, you see anything about snow? Zero chance of snow at this stage. Let's say, well, I think I've got everybody's comment. Thank you so much. It's been fantastic having you all here, and I just wish these things were a lot more interactive, where we could actually chat as opposed to just me sitting here blabbering away, because it would be love to engage with you people and hear your thoughts and suggestions and what you want to see. Tira, welcome. If I pronounce your name wrong, please excuse me, but Amna Katal, thank you also for sharing the page with Tira. Welcome, Tira. Great to have you on board. And thank you, Sir Amna. Great job. 5 gold stars for you, Amna, for sharing our page and getting someone to join us, which is fantastic. All right, I'm going to start waffling. Let you all go to your evenings. If you're going out late night shopping, please, again, be kind to our retail people. It's not their fault we're in recession, but look after them, be nice to them. Because we love our retail people just as we love every single worker in our community. I also I'm going to announce this live right now. So you people who've hung around and listened to me waffle on for a little while, but I'm actually moving into June, or very soon, when to get myself organised. I actually want to do, purely aware what the economy is doing. The economy is not good. We are all starting to feel it tight, and I know that. I want to start shouting out local businesses, especially people who follow this page and support us, shouting them out. So if you do have a local business, please DM me, inbox me. If you've got logos and sort of stuff, we're going to start doing every post I'm going to do over a period of time from a certain date, once I get it sorted in my head and get time to actually sit down and do stuff, is going to be attached with a local business to promote you guys. Absolutely no strings attached, not going to cost you anything, free of charge. Because I want everybody out there to support local businesses where we can, and let's get through this together. This is what I love about Sydney and love about you people, was that when times get tough, we all dig in together and we support each other. So yeah, local businesses, I'm doing a call out soon, but start getting your stuff ready. You've got logos, that sort of stuff. Quick bio about your business, get that all prepared for me, and we'll get that happening very soon. But you've heard it first, because you've joined in tonight. That's what I'm planning to do. Definitely do in June. Really want to push it out. Samantha, just before I pop off, thank you so much. Oh, congratulations on your anniversary too. I can see it's a second year anniversary. Well done. My daughter is doing her first solo flight to Fiji on Sunday morning for a sporting event. Holy hell. A flight's likely to be hugely affected this weekend. Sunday morning, no. Sunday evening, hell yes. Sunday morning, no. So she should be okay. She'll probably fly through the low, or the developing low, so she'll be able to say hello to us, and they may have to divert around it. But at this stage, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the issue that it will be Sunday night, like we can see here now. As you can see, that's all Monday morning. So yeah, Sunday morning, you should be fine. You're all good. I'll pick that. All right. I'm going to say adios. Enough of me yapping. Again, thank you. You are people what drive me to do this I look forward to doing my updates every morning, every evening, because I know I get to chat with you awesome people. And maybe hopefully one day soon we can actually do a in-person gathering together, and I can scare you all to pieces in person. But yeah, stay kind, look after each other. I'll keep you updated as much as I can, and we'll talk again very soon. Have a fantastic evening. You are all amazing, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. Ciao. Bye bye.